Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Southern Wealth. I hope you're having a wonderful start of the week. Don't forget, please, if you do enjoy the content, consider dropping that like and subscribe. So, thank you very much for your support. Now, there hasn't been that major of developments as of late, so I think this video will be rather short. I mean, stock market is pretty much flat, which is actually a bit healthy in the sense that we just had very big moves on stocks in the past few weeks, pretty much vertical moves. So we are poised to have a breather, and the weeks leading into public holidays and the weeks a little bit after tend to start a little bit slow, volume goes down a bit, and basically investors start to try to price in the next big events as they come along. Now, moving on to the crypto side, Bitcoin is still at 37,000. We aren't moving much from here, as I mentioned. As long as we are above around 45,000 by end of December to end of January, we will still be in line with previous cycles. I do believe 38, 42, and 45k are quite highly resistant numbers, so those will take a little bit to crack. Now, one of the items that I did mention a while ago around CZ from Binance being basically forced to leave Binance and condemned to pay $50 million. People were telling me in the comments, and I did see the news, that they took his passport to avoid him going back to the United Arab Emirates. And the reason for it, in case people don't know, is because there's no expatriation deals between, UAE and almost any country in the world. Meaning that one of the reasons why you see so many crypto ventures, so many crypto projects, so many crypto businesses being developed in Dubai is not only because of the nice weather and the low tax, but it's also because if you actually get caught doing something that you shouldn't, it's very hard to have you Dubai will never send you to the US or to France or to Germany or to Belgium or whatever you may imagine. So that's the reason why companies like to establish themselves there. But apparently he was forbidden from returning to the UAE, and they took his passport from him, etc., etc. What I think they want to do, because to be honest, I was a bit surprised when I saw 50 million as a fine. And the reason for it is actually quite simple. It's because his net worth is billions of dollars. I think something like at least 20 billion, which means in these cases, typically, you wouldn't go without at least $500 million to $1 billion in fine. So I'm still kind of convinced that this will end up leading to a bigger settlement in terms of how much he needs to pay himself. I don't think the plan here is to arrest him. Did Binance and himself do things that they shouldn't? Probably yes. But were they fraudulent and caused the demise of thousands of people's lives that were working for Binance like FTX did? Probably also not. So you see, when the regulators and the justice departments come into this kind of settlements, this kind of fines, their idea is not to destroy an entire business, because that's also counterproductive. Because you see, it's a little bit like, okay, I'm going to give a weird analogy. For example, Pablo Escobar, right? He did extremely bad things during his life, but he was loved in his neighborhood. Why? Because, he made the neighborhood great, and he helped the people from that neighborhood for decades. So to them, he was a hero. So that's my point. Like, okay, I'm not saying that CZ is Pablo Escobar, but even if he did a lot of wrong things, but thousands of people have jobs, benefited from what he has done, then you will face a lot of pushback if you cause a business like this to go bankrupt. And the purpose of regulators in general is not to cause the bankruptcy of a company. It's typically, okay, guys, you've been doing some really bad stuff. It's time you pay the piper for what you've done. You, sir, who's been on charge of this, you're going to get out. You're going to give away a lot of the money that you made. But other than that, typically these things end up with going their merry ways. So, for example, you'll never see a company, let's say with $100 million in revenue, getting a fine of 50 billion, for example, because it's obvious what's going to happen. That company will go bankrupt on the spot. And the purpose of the regulator is identifying wrongdoing, work to solve it, and put in place some measures that, keep this stuff to a minimum. That's the idea behind it. CZ was never liked by the SEC and other political figures. Well, number one, because it's not a US company. Number two, some of these big shots, like Gary Gensler, tried to apply for a job at Binance as advisor, and Binance turned him down. So that's one of the reasons why you see Gary Gensler was so friendly with Sam from FTX, why he was always so against Binance, he was always so pro FTX, his secret meetings and all of that. But because the SEC is forever super corrupt, and not super corrupt, I made a mistake, super ignorant in these matters, of course they get behind the person who is one of the worst players that we've ever seen in crypto. And then here they come along at the end of everything to try to correct stuff, liquidate this, liquidate that, try to save. It's a little bit as usual whenever you come in with government institutions, which is they come to close the barn door after all the horses are already out. And once again, they were wrong in their assessment. It's really that simple. There's no big conspiracy theory. I've read a lot of stuff. I even read, by the way, this is I also throw a little bit of clickbait, like everybody does on YouTube. But there are some people that really. So now they're saying, I've seen a guy on YouTube actually defending this, that they wanna hold CZ in case China invades Taiwan to use him as leverage. What? Look, man, there are people on YouTube that will just say anything for views, There's a whole channel out there, by the way, that has titles like this. Trump's daughter found deceased in an apartment. And then you actually watch the video. Of course, nobody was found deceased. And the video is not even about it. It's purely for clickbait. And it's funny because YouTube doesn't seem to care about that. About titles like that. Apparently everything is fine. But just to give an example of the kind of trash that is out there. So be careful with these conspiracy theories. They are just to convince you to watch the video. That's all it is. But I do think, there are some people who like this conspiracy stuff. And then, it just ends up not going very well for them. But in any case, guys, I'll catch you tomorrow in the next one. Have a great evening. And don't forget, like and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one.